One of the things that you may not know about me is that Red Rock Canyon happens to be one of my favorite spots in all of Nevada. It's also a world-class rock climbing destination with over 2,500 different routes for sport, top rope, bouldering, and a whole lot more. So today, we're going to take a closer look at this wonderful sport in one of my favorite areas.
My name is Leici Hendrix. I am the president of the Southern Nevada Climbers Coalition, and we're a local climbers organization that works to protect rock climbing in Southern Nevada. The reason we exist is because there's so much rock climbing all over Southern Nevada, and protecting access to it is incredibly important. And part of the ways that you do that is you work with climbers and educate them to understand how to be responsible stewards of the places that they're climbing. And you also want to make sure and take care of the places that you're climbing so that they can be used for future generations. So this group was created in order to do that. I have climbed all over the world. I've climbed all over Nevada. I've climbed all over the US. I've climbed in Greece. I've climbed in Spain. I've climbed in Australia, just all over. Rock climbing came into my life when I was 25. I was with one of my really good friends, and she really liked this guy. She had a huge crush on him, and he was a rock climber. So she asked me if I would go climbing outside with them in Little Cottonwood Canyon in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I went outside with them and climbed a few pitches and just totally fell in love and started climbing at a local gym there. I think what I loved about rock climbing is that it really challenges me mentally and physically, and it forces me to really kind of be present and in the moment. I was definitely not a good rock climber at first. I don't think anyone is a good rock climber at first. Rock climbing is a skill sport, and it just takes a long time to develop the skill to do it well. There are many different types of climbing. There's bouldering, where you don't climb more than probably 20 feet, and you have pads underneath you for safety. You don't have a rope, and you're typically doing really hard moves. There's sport climbing, where you are leading typically, and you're bringing the rope from the ground up to the top of the cliff. And there's pre-placed bolts in the wall, and you're clipping those bolts as you're climbing. There's also trad climbing, traditional climbing, where you go up the wall and you place all of your own gear as you're going up the wall, and usually that involves climbing multiple pitches. So you're not just stopping and then coming down, you're going up and up and up and up and then coming down. And then there's also aid climbing, which is where you go up the wall using any means necessary. So you're placing your own gear, and you're actually pulling on that gear and using it to get yourself up the wall, rather than just using your hands and your feet. My favorite type of climbing is sport climbing. Sport climbing is my favorite because it allows me to push myself mentally and physically, and really perform at the edge of my physical fitness. It feels incredible to succeed in rock climbing because it's sort of a culmination of pushing yourself mentally and physically, and overcoming any sort of fear or thoughts of doubt that you have. I feel fear when I'm climbing all the time. Climbing can be a really scary sport. It's not natural to fall into thin air, and so it can be scary. I deal with fear when climbing by telling myself that I know I'm going to be scared, and that it's okay, and that I'm safe, and I can do it anyways. Failure is one of the hardest things about rock climbing. Sport climbing specifically has a lot of built-in failure. You're typically trying something that's hard for you over and over and over again, so you rarely succeed. I feel like it's taught me a lot about failure because it forces me to sort of face my worst fears and parts of myself. The climbing in Nevada is world-class. We're really, really lucky, especially in Red Rock National Conservation Area, because we have all of the disciplines of climbing, and it's incredibly rare in such a small area to have sport climbing, trad climbing, bouldering, and aid climbing, and it's all incredible and world-class. So rock climbing is growing tremendously and has been growing over the last several years. It's just really gaining popularity, and Red Rock National Conservation Area is one of the biggest hotspots for rock climbing. And not only do climbers from Nevada come to Red Rock, but climbers from all over the world come here because it is an incredible destination. And so the Southern Nevada Climbers Coalition is really focused on continuing to advocate for rock climbers and also educating them about how they can be better stewards of the land around them. And we intend to continue to provide opportunities for climbers to volunteer and to clean up crags and protect the places that they play. I definitely feel incredibly grateful for climbing. It's brought so much to my life, community, friends, perseverance, and just incredible moments experiencing the world around me.
First of all, let's talk about the rock climbing community. What kind of people are doing this?
All sorts of people are rock climbing. Young, old, rich, poor, it doesn't matter.
So if somebody's interested in getting into this, what's your first line of advice?
I would say if you want to get into rock climbing, you should check out a local rock climbing gym in your area and go there and see if you like it.
Now, this is a sport that takes a certain amount of equipment, right? I mean, what have you got here?
Sure, so this is equipment for sport climbing, and you definitely need a rope. A rope is your lifeline in climbing.
And is this equipment the same for every, you say sport, would it be the same for boulder or any other type of?
No, so for bouldering you don't need a rope.
Okay.
But trad climbing and aid climbing and sport climbing, you would need a rope similar to this one.
Okay, what else you got?
We also have a harness, which is really important for climbing. You wear this and you tie your rope to it, and it keeps you safe.
Is this stuff that you try out at a indoor rock climbing facility just to get comfortable with the equipment and you start to figure it out?
Yeah, exactly. You can go to an indoor rock climbing facility and they can show you actually how to use this equipment.
Okay, what else you got? You got clips, you got special shoes.
Yeah, so we've got quick draws. These are what you use for sport climbing. So there are bolts in the wall and you place a quick draw in those bolts and then you clip your rope to the quick draw so that if you fall, this is protecting you from hitting the ground. And then we also have these shoes.
Are these yours?
Those are mine.
They are tiny.
They're not comfortable, but but they get the job done. So rock climbing shoes are designed to help you perform. So you can see they sort of, for sport climbing, they've got a downturned toe and a high arch, and they really help you sort of press into the rock, and they're covered in rubber so that you stick to the rock and have better friction.
And I'm guessing they're meant to be a little bit more compressed, a little bit smaller than a regular shoe.
Exactly. You want them to be tight, not too tight, but tight enough so that you can feel the sensitivities of the rock beneath your feet.
You use gloves?
I use gloves for belaying. So belaying is a really important part of rock climbing. Partnership is just a really important part of rock climbing in general. And belaying is when you are managing the rope for your partner who is climbing.
How do you learn how to do that?
You can also learn that through an indoor rock climbing gym or a guiding service.
And what makes a good belay person?
A good belayer is a person that is attentive and able to understand and communicate needs. And then also takes the time to really sort of understand what rope dynamics are and how to efficiently move the rope so that you're supporting your climber in the best way possible.
If you're a beginner, is Red Rock someplace that you would recommend?
Absolutely. Red Rocks is great for beginning rock climbers. There's so many easier rock climbs here that are just really fun and well protected.
Now, I'm going to be honest, when I look at the clips and the shoes and the thing, and then the rock, I get a little intimidated, but talking to you, that seems to lessen. It's not that intimidating once you know what you're doing?
Exactly. So it's just like anything else. Once you learn, it becomes easier and easier.
If somebody joins your club, your organization, will they find like-minded individuals that will help them?
Absolutely. If you were to join the Southern Nevada Climbers Coalition or any other rock climbing group in the area, you would definitely find people that you could go out rock climbing with.
And you said this is all ages. I mean, what's the youngest you've seen? What's the oldest you've seen?
I've seen people as old as, in their 80s rock climbing.
Really?
Yeah. And then I've also seen, kids as young as 2 in the gym. And more these days, the really good rock climbers are actually, between the age of like 13 to 18.
What is a common misperception about the sport?
I think a common misperception about the sport is that it's dangerous. I think that rock climbing is actually a much safer sport than people think it is.
So if somebody is interested in reaching out to you and really getting into this, what would you like to say to them right now?
I would say that you should take the opportunity to go to a local gym and to see if you like the movement that climbing allows your body, and kind of go from there.
I gotta say, I've always found this sport to be intriguing but incredibly difficult for me. But talking to you, it seems much more approachable. And I just want to thank you, your organization, for everything that you guys are doing out here. It's a really big deal. And for being here today, just to make this more accessible to people that would be interested. I've been waiting to say this all day. You are a rock star.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.